the role along with Glenn helping them, and I'll throw it over to George.
So I think first, let me go to Lydia, because she has lived through this from being out in a sales office to running their sales organization. And I'd love to get Lydia's kind of thoughts of before and after and what it was like going through this change process.
Hi. So I'll say before we went through this, the process mapping exercise, it just felt out of control, just felt a little chaotic. There was a lot of uncertainty, and on the sales floor, you have to, in order to gain trust from customers, you have to provide a certain level of certainty, and we just weren't able to do that at the time. So we just wanted to, in an effort to achieve operational excellence, we, and obviously working closely with George, we determined that process mapping was essential to Thrive Daily business practices. And, since we have implemented a lot of the things that we did during the process mapping, it has made Thrive's it's become one of our most valuable improvement tools. And during the mapping session, we were able to, put a spotlight on waste, reduce costs, or see how to get there. Just kind of, it is a roadmap. And with us being in one of those, within the red section that was shown on an earlier slide, affordability is also what we were chasing as well. And we were able to figure out how to get there by doing the process mapping.
And Lydia, one of the things that came out of the process mapping and exercise was to help make the whole experience better.
Yes.
You also simplified. You took what was an infinite option list and simplified down to a very simple list of standard options from which you did not deviate.
Exactly.
How hard was that to implement inside of a sales staff that was used to giving people anything they wanted?
I think that it's so funny that we think that people want choice. We think that they want to, have tons of selections, and that wasn't the case. We kind of sat down and we tried to figure out why our customer satisfaction wasn't there. And after reading tons and tons of surveys, our customers were saying it's overwhelming, it's inconvenient, we're unsure, it's providing us uncertainty. Your model shows this, and we went and found out that it's this much more, and it wasn't providing the transparency and level of commitment that our customers needed. So on the sales floor, of course, change is scary for a lot of people, but in doing the process mapping and just seeing that we needed to simplify our processes, simplify the options, it's made a huge difference. And also, the thing that it also helped with was us being able to help our construction team, because so often the design center is only open, Monday through Friday, and someone would have to take off work and they can't do this. And so it was slowing down the construction process, which then, the homes were delayed because we were waiting on the paperwork or tile. So it was also adding to the customer's dissatisfaction.
Yeah. So what's the next thing you think you ought to be working on?
We're always working on something. Cycle time was a huge task, and we're always looking to improve our cycle time. And we actually just celebrated yesterday. We have a community that, there's always that every builder has that community that's just a little tough. This particular community had a cycle time that was pretty hefty. It was in the 300s. And yesterday, just looking at a closing, we were able to reduce that community's average cycle time to right under 200. So we're always finding things to work on, just how to, just kind of see where you want to improve, map it, and then measure it. And it's never ending.
So would you say that this whole thing of looking at the improvements and then having a methodology of looking at the process, changing the process, new process is kind of embedded in the culture now?
Of course, absolutely. And it also has helped break down the silos. As Michael mentioned earlier, you realize your impact on other departments. So if you see that something's not working, it's awesome to get into a room, map it out, and go and tackle it.
Great. Michael?
We do have a question. I'm just going to interject because it's been sitting here for a few minutes. But someone would like to hear about accountability when it comes to the customer journey or other processes. How to manage who's responsible for each step in the process. So thoughts?
One thing that we have done in the process map, well, I'll back up a little bit. Back to ownership, we actually had, we created a new position within our company, and it was the VP of Process Control and Improvement. And that just gave it someone that's tracking it and just always knew where things stood and just kind of owned our entire process. So as far as accountability on the sales side, in conjunction with construction and customer service, with our surveys, if a customer replies and says they're upset about warranty not calling within a certain time and something's been outstanding, we've been able to, you own this department, so you need to tackle, getting back to that customer and then getting back to the team and updating them. So I think that just when you have an owner of each department, it's so much easier to have that accountability and just start that way. Who owns this? Okay, well, when this happens, X, Y, Z happens. So it's just making sure or assigning an owner of each task or however you want to define it.
If I could kick in here, Michael mentioned earlier, Rich Rodriguez, that when we were at Weston in Florida, we actually created a map that had across the top the functions, pre-sale, contract signing, design selection, so on and so forth, all the way to closing and post-closing. And down the left side were people, was the sales manager, the customer first, sales manager, design selection coordinator, title insurance person, construction superintendent, so on and so forth. And each of those boxes for each phase was that person's responsibility. That chart became part of our contract that we did with a customer. That upfront, sitting with them, we went through, this is the journey that it takes to go from now until you're in your home, and actually after you're in your home. Along the way, we have responsibilities, but you have them also. And in signing this contract, you are acknowledging that you will perform your responsibilities in the time and manner that's set, just like we'll do ours. If we have that agreement, then we can go ahead and build your home. If we don't, then we don't have alignment, and maybe we shouldn't be your builder. That chart was brought out, and it went with the agreement of sale all the way through the process. And every time a customer sat down at design selection, at their pre-walk of their house, closing of their house, that came out, and the first thing was done. Here we are. Here's what you're supposed to do. Here's what I'm supposed to do at this point. You agreed to this beforehand. Here we are. Now let's go ahead and do it. That whole thing of the communication of expectation up front was the key thing that actually allowed the process to flow smoothly, and people couldn't say, I didn't know, or I want to do something different.
Nice.
Thanks, George. And thanks, Lydia. Great. I know we had fun when we were there. We laughed a lot. It was hard work, but we had a lot of fun in Denver that time. So thanks for joining us. So again, George and Lydia brought it on through the builder's eyes. I was just trying to show you some of the generic. What is process mapping, why you do it, how you do it. But believe me, you can do it for anything. If folks on the phone here, product manufacturers, you're looking to innovate a new product, you can use it then. If you're an architect looking to improve the design process, you can do that. If you put in business development, you're creating a proposal for the client, you can dig deeper into it using process. So it can be an hour long, a week long, a year long. So what are you trying to do? It can definitely improve your business. Do we have any other questions we can answer for folks?
Not at the moment. I think we filtered most of them in. Like I said earlier, if anyone comes up with anything, when we get this out to you, we'll also give you contact information for internal speakers. And then just so we don't flood Lydia with requests, we'll just ask you to send any questions you might have for her or for Thrive our way so we can filter those for you. But we'll just, we've got a couple more things to share and then we'll.
Yeah, just to wrap, again,